Hi, it's E here. So we've covered quite a number of different ways that you can protect and distribute a Excel spreadsheet calculator tool. And I guess the last one, which is probably the most complex approach, is to DIY. So just to recap, we've gone from different ways that you can lock and protect and set conditions on how your Excel file is used to how you distribute it. We've looked at services that help you convert your spreadsheet into a web app. But if none of these work, or you have some very specific set of requirements, you might need to sort of do it yourself and custom build a web app that does what it is that you want. So I have an example. It's quite minimalistic in that the app itself doesn't do all that much, but it's the principle of how you would build one. So for this one, I've used Flask, which is a library in Python, the language I'm most familiar with, to build that. And I've got a Github repo that you can just basically fork or just copy everything and run it yourself. So I'll show you how it looks like in a Jupyter notebook, but of course I have this running in a app.py file, which has more or less the same code. So bring in the libraries, and all this is essentially the calculation that I've taken from the spreadsheet, and I have tried to reproduce this using code. So if you remember this diagram, that's essentially this step. So I've turned that here, and this is just some input to test out whether or not the calculators work. And this thing does the plotting. So you can see it's plotting the charts, and if you were to change these numbers, these charts would change accordingly. And these cells here, they generate the information in terms of extracting points in the chart where you've reached a maximum or a peak. So that's the calculator. Now the next bit about turning it into an app is that you've got to convert it into a something that Python can render, and Flask does that for you. So again, this is not a Flask tutorial, and in the GitHub repo I've actually left links to the sort of example repositories that I've adapted the code from in order to build the site that you're going to see in a moment. So you can check it out yourself if you're interested. So basically, if I run this, and I'm running it locally, so if I click open in a new tab, actually I don't have to do that, I think it does that automatically. So you see it's nothing too fancy, but essentially it does the same thing as a spreadsheet. So the difference here is that since I've done a DIY, I can more or less bolt on any other feature that I want. So here I haven't done it, but you can put in a field to collect emails, and in this case I've made that field optional. I've not hooked it up to anything, but you can imagine if you have a form in HTML, you can make Python send that data into a database somewhere, so you start collecting leads, or you can even do a user authentication system or something. So whatever it is that you need. So if you go into the app proper, it's the same thing as the Excel spreadsheet, except now it's in an app form. And say if I want to look at the cumulative chart, click view plot. So the code isn't exactly the most performant in terms of speed, so I'm sure that there are ways to improve it, but the intent is to sort of just demonstrate how this works. So I'll just change something, and you should see that chart should look a little bit different in the next click. Yeah, And this is also a interactive chart, because I'm using something called matplotlib to D3.js. So these charts have mouse overs that allow you to see the information if you mouse over the values, and also tells you same information. So these are the output cells that you see here in the spreadsheet. So as an added bonus as well, this site is a progressive web app, and what that means is that if someone were to view it on a mobile phone, you have the option of adding it as an app to your home screen. So the button doesn't appear here because I think I've done that and somehow it forgets. But if I were to click on, let's say I use a different account on a different browser, so I've got Edge open here. If I were to click add to home screen, so the first time that the user gets onto the page, he'll see this add to home screen button, and if he clicks that, it will ask whether or not you want to install the page as an app. And what that looks like in a mobile setting is a bit like this. So this is what it looks like on the phone, where I've got this added as an app. And when you click it, it behaves exactly like a look and feel of a mobile app, a native mobile app. So it's got sort of color on the top. It fills up the whole page, and yeah, so it's just one added feature that you get because you're building this yourself. So it does, however, take a fair amount of programming knowledge to get this done right. But if you have very specific needs and none of the other approaches work for you, then a DIY approach will definitely be an option that you can explore. So this website is currently being hosted on Heroku. So Heroku is a nice, nifty platform that allows you to deploy stuff that you've built. So let me just open up the app here. So if you want to have a visit and look for yourself, you can go to this web page, and the app is over there. So I think that more or less covers all the different options, and I'll see you in the conclusion video.